On the surface, this parable from Jesus appears to be about two men, one who had it all and one who had nothing. Dressed in his fine purple linen, eating sumptuous meals daily, we are led to believe that the rich man, whom the church would later name Dives, was living a life of heavenly bliss, while the other man, Lazarus, covered in sores, lying in the dirt, forced to scrounge for food like some kind of wild dog, was living in hell on earth. But as we know, Jesus' parables are never that clear-cut. A master storyteller, Jesus' parables always packed a powerful punchline, intended to shake the hearts of all who were within hearing. Here, Jesus' punchline is that it is Dives, not Lazarus, who was living in hell on earth. And the way he lived his life on earth, he was destined to live for all eternity. Dives, though wealthy with material goods, was spiritually bankrupt. You see, it wasn't his material wealth that sent Dives to hell. It was his arrogant, pompous, self-reliant nature. His ego was more inflated than his bank account. Every day, Dives was able to simply walk past Lazarus without giving him a second glance. Not because he didn't know God's command to love and care for the poor, but because he was so high and mighty, Dives never looked down to see who was lying at his feet. Having now descended into hell, his vantage point has changed. Now Dives can only look up, and he sees what he never had the eyes to see on earth: the blessing of righteousness, the joy of being in right relationship with God and in right relationship with other human beings. Dives sees Lazarus fully healed, resting in the bosom of Abraham, the position of great honor. His face no longer bearing the scars of daily deprivation, of both physical comforts and personal connections. And then the amazing thing is that even as Dives is able to glimpse this vision of paradise and to become aware of his own thirst for it, he has the gall to order Lazarus to go and get him a drink, to order Lazarus to alleviate his suffering. Persisting in his deadly sin of pride that created his cold and callous heart, incapable of feeling compassion, Dives sealed his fate to forever live in agonizing torment. In ancient Israel, that place of agonizing torment was depicted as Sheol, the fiery pit in which garbage, primarily dead carcasses, were burned in the desert wilderness. Sheol became also known as Hades, the place of the dead, an alternative realm from which someone could reappear in ghostly form. Much, much, much later, that place of the dead became hell, as we now imagine it, that place where the damned were condemned to burn for all eternity. Biblically speaking, hell is not a place. It is a condition of the soul. It is dwelling in agony and tormented anguish that is caused by our sin, that alienates us from God. We hear it throughout all the Psalms. The sorrows of death encompassed me, and the pains of Sheol got hold of me. But we also hear the assurance of our chance at salvation. As the psalmist knew, for great is your love toward me. You have delivered my soul from the depths of Sheol. Where can I go from your spirit? Where can I flee from your presence? If I go up to the heavens, you are there. If I make my bed in Sheol, there you are with me. To deliberately and willfully reject God's grace and mercy is to end up in torment and anguish, feeling like you are living in hell on earth. And the choice is always ours, now and for all eternity. A decision that might even take place in the realm of death, as we heard in Jesus' parable. Even though we have the assurance of our salvation, in varying degrees, most of us will at some point in our lives descend in that fiery pit of agony, suffering from our own mistakes, our own bad choices, or tormented by something in our distant or not so distant past that haunts us even to this day. We hear ourselves say, I'm my own worst enemy. Knowing what plagues us is our own self-destructive behaviors or attitudes, or even those self-destructive thoughts. And then, like Dives, we can feel the chasm between ourselves and our God, or most acutely between ourselves and others. And we are left feeling thirsty for the waters of life that flow from the throne of grace and mercy. This beautiful vision of God that was gifted to John, revealing the ultimate restoration of God's Eden, of God's good creation, is, as we heard, that holy city of Jerusalem descending out of heaven, shining with the radiance of a very rare jewel. And in the middle of the new is the river of life. It's a vision not just of our heavenly home, but what heaven on earth looks like. It is our God who comes to us right where we are, how we are. It is our God who comes to us to tend and to nurture us like trees planted by the river of life. Our God who fills us with an overflowing abundance of the water that assuages our thirst. It was from the cross that Jesus himself will cry out, I thirst. It was Jesus from the cross who suffered the agony of feeling abandoned by God in the worst moment of his earthly existence. It was that moment, as we say in the Apostles' Creed, that Jesus himself descended into hell. We have been on a journey of getting in touch with our thirst for the waters of new life. In the coming days, we will now walk alongside Jesus through his own journey from agony to ecstasy. And only as we willingly walk alongside him in that journey will we have the assurance of our salvation. That our God, who is rich in grace and mercy, is always seeking to bridge the gulf, the chasm that we have created between God and God's good creation. God in Jesus is that boundless bridge connecting us to the Trinity of love. For now and for all eternity. These beautiful last words in the Bible are God's own invitation to us at the end of this Lenten season. The Spirit and the bride say, "Come." Let everyone who hears say, "Come." Let everyone who is thirsty come. Let everyone who wishes take the water of life as gift. Amen.